After making over 10,000 breakfast sandwiches back in the day in the Coast Guard, I came to one realization: how to make the perfect breakfast sandwich. And it's easier than you think too. The secret is to keep it simple. The simpler, the better when it comes to breakfast sandwiches, trust me. Basic egg sandwich ingredients, the English muffin, undisputed champ when it comes to a breakfast sandwich, I think. You can obviously do brioche or whatever other fancy stuff you can get. I love I can't pronounce them. I love English muffins. English, that doesn't sound English. Sourdough in particular, I just got onto these recently. They're pretty damn good. So I'm using some full fat butter here, some good stuff. Salt, pepper. I'm using a couple slices of, I think it's sharp cheddar cheese, and I'll use a couple eggs. I only use 1 egg per sandwich. You don't need to go that crazy. Same thing with the cheese. I use 1 slice of cheese per sandwich. If you go too heavy with the cheese or egg, it kind of ruins the sandwich, funny as it may sound. Now I've got my non-stick skillet heating up to low medium heat. You don't want the pan too hot, but you want it hot enough to crisp up the egg to fry the egg, right? First step, because we don't want just a completely basic breakfast sandwich. We want a little level up, right? So we're gonna toast the buns. Now, I would say this is optional, but it's not optional. You have to toast the buns to make a really good breakfast sandwich. Even if you're gonna freeze these, which is another great point. These are very freezer-friendly sandwiches. This is a great way to prep some breakfast ahead of time. I've got another video on here somewhere about making a bunch of them, but basically you just do what I'm about to do, times however many breakfast sandwiches you want, honestly, and they'll freeze for a good 3 months, 4, 5, 6 months tops, I'd say. And to heat them up, you just unwrap them, you cover them with a little wet paper towel, and you throw them in the microwave. Now, hopefully we can time this to where when these are done toasting, our breakfast or our eggs will be done. We'll see how it goes. Now, our pan is just about hot. Make it a little hotter. Perfect. All right, so it's just hot enough to dissolve some water on it. That's good for me for frying an egg. You can get it a little hotter, but for the sake of this demonstration, we're going to keep it how it is. Now, we're going to hit it with some good old-fashioned butter. You can use spray oil if you want to do a little less fat, but we're going to make these extra tasty with the butter today. So, pan should be hot enough to melt the butter pretty easily, like this. We're going to let it heat up a little more with the butter on it before we crack our eggs. Now, there's a few different ways to crack eggs. Kenji Lopez does a really cool video on this. You should look him up. The guy's like a master chef, super genius. But it's funny, he explains a few ways to crack them, which I don't know, most people know, or most chefs for sure know. But you know, you can crack them on a flat surface with the long side, which is what I typically do. Sometimes though, I crack them on the side. And obviously you can do like the one-handed crack and shit like that or whatever. But for this, my eggs, I didn't actually let them come up to room temperature because I just forgot to pull them out early, honestly. If you want to crack an egg a little bit easier, pull out the eggs, let them come up to room temperature, and they'll crack 10 times easier, I swear. I'm just going to crack them on the side of my pan. Now, the goal is to split them in the middle, obviously. Split them in half. These are super cold, so they're going to be kind of a pain in the ass. Now, when you drop your egg in, kind of use the eggshell to make sure it doesn't go way too far one way or the other, and it kind of will make more sense as I put another one in. I'll show you what I mean. Say, for instance, you're doing 4 fried eggs in here. This trick will really help a lot, but basically, I'm just going to hold the egg in place for just a second or two. Because say I'm doing 4 eggs, if I don't do that, they'll all shift into each other and kind of create a mangled mess a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but it helps just enough, you know? It's the little things that count. So now, sometimes your eggs are gonna spread out like this, no problem. Just flip it back onto each other a little bit more so it fits onto the sandwich that much better. Now you can see it's a really low medium heat setting right now because I wanted to show you this in particular. So it's cooking nice and light in the butter right now. It's cooking a tiny bit slower than maybe normally. If you were to increase the temperature, it'd get a real fry on it where it's crispy, but some people don't like it that way, you know? And you can kind of experiment with both ways. Now, also when it comes to cooking an egg, I like mine over easy typically. Over easy means you're gonna let these cook until this second layer starts to turn more white. And as soon as it turns more white, we're gonna flip it over. We're gonna let it cook another 15 to 20 seconds or so, then take it right off. And then when we bite into it, it's gonna be real gooey yolk. It's gonna shoot all over the place, which I like, it's super tasty. But some people don't like that. If you don't, you can crack the egg yolk, which I'll show you in a minute, to make it over hard, and that's when it's not gonna shoot all over the place at all. Some people really prefer that. So if you can tell, this egg is getting just a little white on the second rim here. You can see it's not as see-through as this one, right? Which is kind of part of why I want to do this a little low heat so I could show you. So for me over easy, I'm gonna flip this in a second here and let it cook another 15 to 20 seconds or so, which is gonna kind of finish cooking this little part, but it's not really gonna hit the yolk too much. Now for this one, I'll show you what an over hard looks like if you don't like a runny yolk at all. So this, remember, this is gonna be our over easy egg. Try not to break the yolk if you can. So you can see even on the lower heat, it's gonna get nice and crispy also, which is perfect. So for this one, we're gonna let it heat up the second layer until it's pure white. So basically it's gonna look as white as this part right here. And that's gonna be pretty soon, but it's not yet. Well, actually we're not, we gotta melt it, sorry. We're gonna throw our cheese on here. And as this is getting whiter, which it pretty much is, we're gonna crack that yolk right there. And you can crack it twice if you wanna be wild. We're gonna flip it, oops. We're gonna flip it and allow that to cook fully through, and that's gonna be our over hard egg. And in the meantime, very important part right here, this is like the biggest trick, okay? This is very, very important, and if you don't do it, you have failed, my friend. You have failed dearly. So we're gonna put a little bit of water in this lid right here. We're gonna bring it back over. We're gonna put said water with the lid on top of here, and we're gonna see that cheese perfectly melt. Now, this is absolutely critical. If you are not doing this, my friend, like I said, you have failed dearly. Just kidding, kind of, but not really. This really is an important part. If you don't have melted cheese on your egg sandwich, what the hell are you doing in life, man? Or woman, sorry. Okay, now that is perfectly melted right there. We're gonna take off our over easy one, and I should probably grab the English muffin, that would help. So, got our English muffin on the plate. Oh, that nice, beautiful melted cheese. We're gonna throw it, if I can do it, throw it on the pan here. We're gonna let this one cook a tiny bit more, since that's supposed to be our over hard egg. All right, this over hard egg should be done. We're gonna do the same thing with this guy. Now, if you're using sausage or bacon or something, you can put it on the bottom or top. I kind of like putting the sausage on the bottom. I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing, but I think it looks like a prettier sandwich that way. Bacon, I would put on top. Sausage, I would put on bottom. Let me know in the comments, I'm curious. So, now we've got our beautiful egg sandwich plated like this. I'm gonna sprinkle a little salt and pepper on top. This is a completely optional step for you. You don't have to do this. I'm also gonna put a little ketchup and hot sauce on these. Now, let's see how these look on the middle. So this is our over easy, and this is our, not quite over hard honestly, but pretty much. It's just about there. Could have let it cook just a tiny bit longer. When it comes to egg sandwiches, it's not rocket science, but there is a method to the madness, as I've taught you, right? If you like these kind of basic cooking concepts like this, download my free beginner cooking cheat sheet. I've got it down below in the description. I think you'll like it a lot. Spend a lot of time on it. And if you enjoy fresh, easy pesto without a lot of equipment, just using your knife, check out this video next.